Good evening, guys. It's Phil. It's All Leeds TV, and we are back with another big match preview. And just the two of us tonight. Chris, welcome back. How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
No problem.
It's been a while since it's just been the two, but we're missing a few members.
We are. We've got some Berardi style sick note 6 here. Me and you are the Berardi of the team. We actually turn up, but the Bianchis and the Antonucci's and all them are lad and dad have fucked off, and we do potentially have Oscar joining us later on tonight as well. But if we would have waited for Oscar, it wouldn't have been so much all late TV as all never TV. So we've decided to just go now, and he's currently recording something, I think, with an opposition fan channel. If he can get on, he'll join us after. But either way, we've got plenty to discuss anyway. It's been a week since we did the preview for the Accrington game. Obviously, we'll talk a tiny bit about getting through to the 5th round, that game, talking points from that. But then obviously a transfer window's closed in between, Chris. And as a positive Leeds fan, I think we might both, weirdly enough for once, be on similar pages here. And that was a fucking good transfer window, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly can't think what more they could have done. I mean, they've spent a decent amount of money, brought in all the key positions we were looking for. I mean, we could be greedy and want more, but delighted. And the Harrison sort of bit was a bit surprising at the end. So I'm glad he stayed, because I think that would have been dreadful to let him go also to someone near the bottom as well. But overall, I can't see what they could have done any more this window.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do the whole rate out of 10 every. I think I've seen a lot of people giving it 7s and 8s out of 10, and I'd be kind of similar. I think if, like you said, if Harrison would have gone, I would have definitely been going lower, because for me, the two main positions that needed filling, we knew were left back and striker. I mean, you could argue, have we bought a left back? But we've bought a very good centre back, and Junior Firpo actually seems to remember he's a footballer. So who knows? We may have left backs. And obviously, striker, again, is he a striker? We don't actually know yet, but we'll find out. He can play loads of different positions along that front line. And obviously then when Click left, it opened up a vacancy to sort of fill a slot in midfield, and we've done that too. So you could sling some shit around at the board and say, well, why didn't you get those two positions filled in the summer? We obviously needed them. But look, Victor Orta has gone out, identified 3 targets that, let's be honest, they raise the floor and the ceiling of this team. They make us better as a squad. So I think you've got to kind of be grateful with what you've got. And obviously, I know people have got a bit upset about Harrison nearly happened, but it didn't. And fingers crossed now we tie him down to a new contract. And that's a really strong-looking squad. I mean, I've heard the sentence said, and I'm going to say it myself because it's the way I feel. This squad now, Marsh cannot say that he doesn't have the tools to keep us up, Chris.
No, I mean, I looked at there were some photos of the squad sort of 2 years ago compared to now, and it is ridiculous to compare the two. It's the team we came up with. There was no depth at all in that team, and now we're covered in all sorts of positions. I think we've got a couple of injuries, and because we've got Joffrey now out on loan, it does. I was thinking, are we still a bit light? But and on the right hand side, we look light.
Up top. If anything, I think we're a little top heavy. I think we've got so many options, even with Rodrigo out, and obviously we'll talk about Rodrigo. But I think Diego Llorente going as well. I didn't even mention Diego Llorente, and I'm not going to be a dick about it. But Llorente going, and the young lads, Diogo Montero coming in as well. I don't think too many people will know too much about him. It's a bit of a Ben White vibe in that he could be world class one day. We don't know, but in terms of having a Llorente out and Montero in, I'm fine with that. But does Llorente leave us slightly shorter in defence than we are in attack? Because for me, I think we've got so many options now to go in that front 3-4, whatever formation you're going to play. What do you make of the defence? Is it a centre-back weakness, or do you think there's just so many players that can mould into different places?
I think there's lots of players that can play. I think this is the game that Cox's missing, isn't it? So because of that, all of a sudden it looks like we've got a huge gap. We might have to have a makeshift centre-back or put someone from the left side at centre-back. Well, however you do it, it's not going to be a natural pairing. So I think it's just bad timing the way it's fallen. But I think overall we've got enough players to cover it. We've got some decent players potentially out on loan who can come back maybe in the summer, maybe step up, maybe not. But I think overall I'm happy with most of the positions.
Yeah, you mentioned the loans as well. Obviously, there was rumours of Charlie Cresswell getting sold, and that I think that's one that I'm glad it didn't happen. Would like to see him come back this summer and see if there's a chance he could break into the first team. But like you said, there's a few people out on loan now. Cody Drammer's obviously gone back out. Joffrey out at Sunderland. Lorente. But there's players out on loan now that when they come back, it'll be interesting to see where we kind of go. I'll be really surprised to see if anything further happened with Joffrey, but it does sort of seem as though it's a bit uncertain for players like Cresswell coming back in and Drama as well. With the Ayling situation, does Ayling sign a new contract? If Ayling does, I think Drama would probably want to leave. So a couple of loose ends, but I mean, if you had to give the transfer market in January a number out of 10, what would you go, Chris?
I think I'll go 9. It's not perfect, but yeah, I guess you're saying sort of 7s and 8s. I personally can't see what more they could do. We're not going to go out and do what Chelsea have done and sign £100 million players, and we can't strengthen every position. I feel probably 2 months ago, none of us probably thought we were kind of saying it's either a striker or a left back. So to say we've got 3 first teamers now, that's pretty good going, I'd say.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, I'm with you. I'd go 8 or 9 out of 10 to be honest for the window. I think it's, especially considering it's a January transfer window, which we notoriously do absolutely nothing in, or we go and get John Kevin Augustin in. So yeah, for me, I'm really pleased with the business that we've done. Danny here going an 8.5 out of 10, like how he's thrown the 0.5 in early. But yeah, I'm happy with it. I think there was obviously little whispers throughout the window about Dan James. Thankfully, nothing came about with that, but that's one that we'll have to come back to in the summer and see what happens there as well. But moving away from the transfers then, how did you feel about the result at Accrington? Obviously, there's injury news that we'll have to touch on later in the show because of the Accrington game, but good win. We're into the 5th round for the first time in 7 years. Not too difficult a tie coming up in the 5th round. You're getting ready to strike up the band. We're going to Europe, aren't we?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I'd love a cup run. We've got a good draw, as you say. A bit disappointed to be away again, but it's a winnable game, whoever we get out of the 2. We could get a nice draw in the next round. You just don't know. I think it's worth going for. It was quite a scrappy game, wasn't it? I know we came through in the end, but the first sort of 5-10 minutes, we weren't sort of taking control. I suppose that's the only downer on it. We started the game a bit on the back foot, and we let them come forward. They were the ones who were on the attack, and I suppose we went down to their level almost, didn't we?
I think the beginning of the game, like you said, it was scrappy, and I think the Bamford interview after the game, he kind of said it was just kind of getting used to playing against a team like that again, because most of them haven't played against an EFL team for a while. Or obviously there's Cardiff, but certain players, I don't think Bamford was involved against Cardiff, was he? So
no.
Just getting used to playing at that level again. And then I think eventually class kind of showed. Obviously Harrison scored an absolute belter. Firpo scored, and we weren't there to get on the
pitch.
I was devastated. I love the video of Rasmus trying to get everyone on the pitch, but I guarantee you, if we were there, trust me, we'd have tried, Rasmus. But yeah, no, it's a solid win. Good to see Bamford back and didn't get his goal. Obviously, Sinistera nicked it off his toe, but Bamford looking sharp, not looking frail like he did earlier in the season. So I think there's a lot to be positive about in a weird way in terms of especially those attacking options, not just because of the transfer window and what we've bought in. We've not actually really mentioned too much about Jorginho Ruta yet, but obviously got some minutes, played his first game for Leeds at Accrington. Flashes of a good player there, but obviously small sample size against a very inferior team compared to what we're going to see him against, hopefully at the weekend. In terms of those attacking options, obviously Rodrigo's injury is a blow, but there is so much there and they're all banging form. You've got Nonto looking on fire, Bamford scoring goals again, Sinistera looking a little bit rusty, but getting the goal. and Somerville's back. There is literally an abundance of options, and we haven't even mentioned the late signing of Weston McKennie. I know it's not an attacking option as such, but how much do you feel like having that box to box midfielder strengthens like everything at the top side of the pitch?
I think it'll be massive, and I think especially these games, the run of fixtures we've got coming up, that's the sort of player we need, because in all of our sort of best lineups, you want to put in all of the sort of 4 attacking players, but can you do that away at Forest? Can you do that the next 2 games away at Man U? Two away and at home.
Yeah,
you probably need more of the box to box midfield, like you say. So I think we're definitely going to see a lot of him in the next couple of games, probably even at the weekend. Maybe where to start, but I'd expect him to feature.
Yeah, I'll be intrigued to see which of the new lads do play. And obviously, we'll do our lineup predictions in a little while, and we'll get on to who's going to play. I think we might have to do a little bit of a version of what we expect to see and what we want to see, because I think this could be the first time that they are drastically different. Yeah. I think Marsh, for me, I think the lineup will be a little bit predictable, but I don't want it to be. I want to see some of the new players blooded. But yeah, in terms of the cup run, it's great to be into the 5th round of a cup, and it's more games to be able to get players who aren't getting minutes. It's, to be honest, out of the last few months, and I know Marsh was a little bit peeved today in that run of form is continually being brought up, 2 wins in 17 or no wins in the last 6 in the league. But realistically, and he was eager to point out, like, we haven't actually lost quite a few of those games. We've only lost to Man City or whatever, but most of them are draws. Okay, but we still haven't won. November was our last win against Bournemouth. In terms of cup fixtures, that's the only thing sort of building this momentum. And in fact, I feel a bit harsh saying that, because there does feel like there is something building. Over, people were pissed off with that Villa result because we played well. But Chris, you're positive in general anyway. But do you feel like this is feeling like it could be a turning point? And like you said, it's a fucking important time to have one, bearing in mind we've got Scum twice in 4 days next week.
I think it will be a turning point, because even before some of the signings, we had key players coming back. We had Bamford coming back. We had Sinistero coming back. Now we've added so much quality. We were, some of the performances were getting better anyway. I think the FA Cup's going to be massive to turn the confidence, because you've seen Bamford come in and score a couple, look lively. Even in the last game, he looked some really good touches. He didn't get his goal, but I think he'll go in tomorrow feeling confident, feeling like he's hopefully back to his best. And I think if you take the cup games out, and I didn't know it was that long ago, but if November was our last win without the cup run, it would look pretty pretty poor. So
it's a while. The thing is that we don't look like a team that, apart from, I'd say, maybe 1 or 2 games in that period, that can't score goals. We score plenty of goals. And the problem in that period was, apart from obviously the Newcastle game, seemingly just defending, keeping clean sheets. And since Verber's come in, that goal at Accrington Stanley, which only goes in when Llorente comes on the pitch, I'm just pointing that out. That's the first goal we've conceded with Max Verber on the pitch since he's signed. So hopefully having him in, and Cooper's back fit for this weekend. We don't know if he'll play or not, but he tends to shore things up as well. I know some people will say the opposite way round, but there has to be some sort of, with the mixture of the transfers, the results, the performances, getting to the next round of a cup. And I know I saw a comment before, someone didn't like that I'd said potentially Fulham away is a win, an easy-ish game, but the teams left in this cup, there's only really like 6 teams higher ranked than us left in it. So I don't see Fulham as terrifying. Man City, Man United and Tottenham were the 3 teams I wanted to avoid. Fingers crossed, if Sunderland can sneak past them, I think we'd all love a good away tie at the Stadium of Light. Joffrey, I don't think, can play, but they've got Niall Huggins there. They've also got Jack Clark there. So I think we managed to get a good enough tie to think that we've got a chance of getting to the next round. And then, you're only 1 or 2 wins away from Wembley in a semi-final. And I think if you'd have said to most Leeds fans at the start of this season, it's not going to be the most entertaining league campaign you'll ever see, it might be a bit of a mediocre 15th place finish or whatever, but you get to a semi-final of a cup and you get a day out at Wembley, Chris, you'd have fucking taken that, surely.
You take it every day, and I think we should have tried a bit harder in the League Cup as well. I think every year now we need to push on. We're not necessarily going to break into the top 10 anytime soon, but let's push on in both cup competitions each season. We've got enough players, or even if we don't, we need to get more players in the summer so we can compete. We shouldn't just be focused on survival, because I don't think any of us believe we're that sort of club.
No, I must admit I've felt that. The thing that you don't seem to feel, that Leeds fan dread, I've felt like it's going to be relegation up until the transfer window. But because the transfer window's gone so well, I do feel a little bit better in terms of I can see us getting that 14th, 15th place finish I hoped for at the start of the season. And if we can get to a semi-final of a cup, I'll happily take getting to a semi-final and getting beaten by Man United at Wembley. It will be fucking painful, but I'd take that to be able to have just a day out. But knowing our luck, Chris, we can't not really say it. We just won't get tickets anyway, would we? No.
We're turn up.
We are some of the unfortunate ones that didn't get tickets for the scummed game, despite going to every fucking home game this season. And it is painful. If you have got them and you want to sell them to us, please feel free to get in touch, because we're just refreshing the page every day, begging.
There's a lot of people on there.
Yeah, massive queue, biggest queue I've seen so far since we've got promoted, I think, to be honest, in terms of trying to get tickets for that game. And yeah, fingers crossed we'll still make it there somehow. But Dad's birthday as well, I think, that day. So with those two games in mind, this weekend is huge. I'll actually ask you about those two games before I speak to you about Forest, because I think it's important to have a little bit of context. What do you think we're getting out of those two games? And you're a positive person. Tell me how many points you see us getting out of two trips, home and away, Man United, 8th and 12th of February.
Well, I feel we've been a bit stitched up the way it's fallen. I don't think it favours us to have those two games so close. I think they've got many more players they can rotate. But I'm also trying to make a positive spin in the fact that I can't see us just going and getting beat 5-0 both times. There's got to have to be a different game plan for each game, and I guess I'd like to see the first match be a bit tighter.
4 points. Behave.
We've definitely got a point. I just whether I can give you a number.
You think we're going to get 1 point out of the two games?
I'd say we'll definitely get a point. Whether I can predict much more than that, I'm not sure.
Okay, I mean, I'll stretch to 1. I'll be honest. I think we're getting beaten in both. But if we can take it, and I think it's the manner of the defeat. If we were to lose like 1-0 at Old Trafford and maybe scrape a draw at home, it pains me to say it, but I would take it rather than getting dicked twice in the space of 4 days, because I don't think I could handle that shit, man. It's going to be painful enough losing 1, and it normally takes me 6 months to recover. But to have literally 4 days and then they pump you again, it's just not very nice, is it?
Well, I don't think maybe they won't be up for it either. Maybe they're thinking it's everyone sort of says how intense it is, how they got to adapt to play Leeds. They know they're going to work hard to do that twice in a week. Is that really what?
Maybe you're right. Maybe It's one of them. You prepare yourself for the worst just in case the great stuff does happen. But then, in fact, like for any Leeds fan going to the game, I have missed 3 home games this season. They are the 3 home games that we have fucking won. I haven't seen Leeds win in the league at home since Burnley at home last season. Dan James scoring a header in the 93rd minute. So, and I go to virtually every home game. The only ones I haven't been to is holidays, man. Like, I've not been in the country. I've got a ticket and sold it. So not being there might be the only way that so maybe, Chris, we just don't bother trying.
Yeah, well, I think if we do get a result, we'll have to keep you away for the rest of the season, yeah.
Yeah, so if we were to win, because I don't get a ticket, then I suppose I'll surrender not going to another game this season if that's what it means. I'd take that because we nearly had our moment in the sun last year, didn't we? For the whole 60 seconds of going from 2-0 down to 2-2. That was nice. I enjoyed that. But yeah, lots of people in the comments saying they have got tickets, Chris. So anything you'd like to say to them?
I don't know how they got tickets. If they can share any tips, just let us know because we did everything possible to try.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people say, "Did you try the ballot?" Yes, we tried the ballot. We've been logging on every day. It's just not going to happen for us. So sad. It's a sad time, but we do actually still have exactly. This is exactly what I am talking about, Michael. Someone pay for us to go on holiday. Okay, I can do that. I mean, it's only the hedgerow. I can run.
Sounds a good deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of, completely lost my train of thought here. Forest, that's what I'm talking about. So we do actually have tickets for the other game that got postponed. So obviously this Man United away game's being played on the 8th because it was postponed for the Queen's funeral. The game that we were meant to play on that Monday night, she died on the Thursday, was Forest at home. We've still got tickets actually somewhere in the ether, don't we? Waiting to come to us for that Forest game. But this is the first time we've played Forest in the Premier League in the 2000s. The last time 1999. So it's been a long time since this was a Premier League fixture. But I'm not going to ask you as someone, because I don't believe you'll have checked stats and who's done what over the period of time. But from memory, Chris, how do you think our games against Forest have gone?
Probably not very well. I'm trying to think when we played them in the. We certainly lost. We lost the last time we played in the Championship, didn't we?
We haven't beaten them since Thomas Christiansen. He was the last manager to get a win against Forest. They've beaten us twice and drawn with us 3 times since then. Luke Ayling, obviously, with the famous interview after the Forest game, very depressed. Generally speaking, they are not a good side for us. We've never won a Premier League game at the City Ground, ever. We've played them 10 times altogether in the Premier League, 5 at Forest. Never won any. So, yeah, not a great record against Forest in the Championship, in the Premier League, in life. Generally speaking, not a good side for us. And, again, don't want to be the voice of doom and gloom, but their away record in the league this season is very good. They've not lost at home since, I think it's September. Won 3, drawn 3, including games against like Chelsea, Liverpool, big teams, big games, have done well. And obviously our away record, we've won once away from home all season, which was obviously Anfield. So again, I understand records mean nothing. Records are there to be broken. Everybody is right. But the home record for them being good, our away record being bad. And Mark, trust me, we are getting onto some positivity. That's why Chris is here. The record isn't great, but Chris, you're going to tell me you think we're going to win anyway, surely.
Well, yeah, I agree with the comments. I don't think the records matter, and I don't know. I don't know why Forest were above us. I mean, I'm frustrated we didn't play that match against them because it was a perfect time. They were in complete free fall at the time.
And we weren't. We were the opposite. We were on form.
Yeah, we were on form, so it would have put a bit of a gap. And who knows then what happens to both teams' seasons? Sometimes you just need something to sort of spark it off. But I mean, they're missing. Yeah, they're missing some important players, aren't they?
Well, this is the thing. They're missing important players, but then on deadline day, they just go and buy new ones. They've
got 50 players,
Chelsea, haven't they? So they're missing Dean Henderson. They go and get fucking Keylor Navas, which he's basically. Kiko Casilla was obviously the one that was on the bench for those 3. Navas played them, so he's the goalkeeper that actually won the 3 Champions Leagues in a row. They went and got Felipe from Atletico Madrid, and of course the greatest signing of all time, John Joe Shelby. But they've got basically they had injuries. They just go and buy buy new players to replace people that are out for 3 weeks.
But that's all they've got there. I don't think when they were sort of playing at the start of the season, they had all these players. They were rotating all the time. And they got no consistency. It was only when they had this smaller group they started picking up. And whether they're just going to start throwing these players in, I don't know. I'm not worried about what Forest have got. I was looking at their kind of goal scorers before. I think their top scorer's got 2 goals.
I think they've got a couple on 4.
They've got 4 now.
Yeah, a couple on 4. But generally speaking, they are the second lowest scoring side in the league. Only Everton have scored less Premier League goals this season than them. So, yeah, in terms of goal scoring, bearing in mind our defence has improved, they don't tend to score much. We tend to score quite a bit, but their defence is not quite as bad as ours. It's one of them where, and I know football isn't played on paper, but on paper you'd say there's going to be goals in the game. I said this against fucking Brentford, didn't I? Said there's going to be goals, 0-0. But realistically, it looks like there's going to be goals on either side, and it's just a case of who can. It's a Jesse Marsh game, who can outscore the other. And I kind of feel like the only times we get outgunned in those games is against higher quality teams. It's like the Tottenham game, for example. But on the other hand, you have teams like Bournemouth where we've gone and we've just tried to outscore them and we've won it that way. And that was without the level of squad that we have now. I do feel somewhat positive going into it in terms of I'm going to ask you: is it a 6-pointer? Is it a must-win for you? Bearing in mind what's coming next.
I think it is. We've played quite well in the last couple of Premier League matches, and we've come away with nothing. We've kind of gone through a run of matches where everyone wanted more points than what we've got. But because we don't know what's going to happen in the 2 games after, we definitely need points, and we need it for confidence. If we can't beat Forest, and then all of a sudden we've got Everton need points.
Yeah.
Then it's too early for games to start running away, but we don't want to start falling further than we are at the moment. So I think a win's massive to push us forward onto these next couple of games.
Yeah, I think people normally look at like the next 5 games, don't they? And obviously there's Everton and Southampton after those 2 Man United games, but it is hard to look past the 2 scum games. If we only get 1 point out of the next 3 games, all that positivity and momentum that's been built up, surely we're back in the people with the Jesse Marsh out banners and fucking we're getting gone. But
it won't take long.
No, it won't take long at all. But equally, it could be the shoe on the other foot. We get a win against Forest, and if I said to you, we come out of the next 3 games with 4 points, I would be quite happy with that. I'd take losing one of the Man United games, drawing one, and beating Forest, and then you go into teams like Everton and Southampton in and around you in the table, feeling like you could at least make something. Get 6 points out of Everton and Southampton, and I know that's asking a lot, but 3 points against Forest, 3 points against Everton, 3 points against Southampton, and a point against Man U. 10 points from your next 5 games, and that's you're
being a bit positive now.
Yeah, this is your kind of territory, but that is the difference. But that's what I mean. You've got one hand where it's doom and gloom, one hand where it could be something. So this is potentially a real turning point, and bearing in mind it is that, and it could be a bit of a pressurized game. I'm glad it's away from home. I'm glad it's not at home, even though we've got that poor record. But yeah, I mean, what are you expecting from Forest? Do you actually worry about them at all? Obviously, I know you're not worried about them scoring goals, but they are above us.
I think only just. It must be only a couple of points above us, and if we got a game in hand. So I don't think the table necessarily shows they're a better team. They're not scoring. They're conceding just as many as we are.
Yeah.
And I don't see any major threats in their team. I think they'd be happier with a point than we are. I just hope we set up as attack minded as possible and really go for it, because I think that's the best way we've got. Best way we're going to get anything from it. And these are the games we need to get the points on. As much as we'd like a win against Man U, we need to stop other teams getting points as well. So some of our wins this season have been against some of the better teams, which is great. But if the teams below us are also winning, it kind of balances out.
Yeah. So yeah, we actually go above them if we beat them. So they're 3 points ahead, but they've got a shit goal difference. So basically, we win, we go above, and obviously we've got that game in hand, which is going to be removed when we play Man United on Wednesday as well. So the table isn't necessarily the fairest reflection, but equally they'll say it is if they take a point or 3 off us at the weekend. So I think it's got to be. It is a 6-pointer because they're in the same kind of position as us in the table. They realistically have spent a lot of money. They've brought in a lot of players, but their squad, I don't feel anywhere near resembles the kind of confidence that I'm actually getting from ours. I still look at theirs and just think it's all scattergun, and I can see our seasons going in different directions. I can see theirs going back towards kind of where we expected it to be at the start of the season, a relegation battle, and ours being hopefully not. Let's be honest, we're not going to be a team that's not sucked into this relegation battle at all. We are going to have to fight to get out of it quite late into the season, I imagine, but to be able to finish 14th with a few points to spare and a few games to enjoy towards the season, end of the season, would be nice. And this could be something that kicks us on to that. So yeah, we'll move on to lineup predictions, and I'm very intrigued to see where we're going to go with this. Forest, it is impossible to predict what they're going to do. Formation wise, I've gone in the blog that I've done today. If you want to have a look, guys, it's on the All These TV Twitter page. I posted it out earlier, but the lineup I've gone for them was, I think it's 4-3-1-2. It's a bit like a 4-4-2 diamond. They've had a fairly settled squad of late, but obviously we know Henderson's out. Wayne Hennessy's been playing in goal for them. I don't think you're going to sign Keylor Navas and keep Wayne Hennessy in goal. So I think Navas will come in, but after that, it is kind of hard to predict who out of their new signings will play. The new centre-back from Atletico Madrid, does he come in? John Joe Shelby, does he go in there? I mean, that midfield in particular seems quite settled. Lingard hasn't been in it anyway for the last few weeks, but from what I've heard, Lingard will be missing, Gibbs White will be missing, Awoniyi will be missing up front. But as one of the guys earlier in the comments was saying, Chris Wood has just signed and has been playing up front for them. Andre Ayew signed, I think, as a free agent after the deadline closed. So he's someone that, I mean, his brother pisses us off quite a bit whenever we play Palace. But there are some players in there that worry me slightly, but it's not anything like some of the. It's not like when you play Man City or in Newcastle or even Brentford. Brentford, at least you can look at Ivan Toney and go, gonna have to keep him quiet. But I don't pick anyone out of that Forest team that I just look at and think we're going to struggle against an individual. And I know someone earlier put in the comments Brennan Johnson, and if he was realistically up against Firpo, I don't see Firpo playing. But Chris, who have you got in net and in your back four? Obviously, I'm assuming the goalkeeper is going to be quite an easy one here.
Yeah, there's no shots in goal. See Melier to start. And I'm going for Ayling at right back, but does leave us a bit of a gap in the centre. Okay,
so who have you got in the centre then?
So I'll probably like if Ayling's out there, based on the options, I'd like to see it with Pascal and Wober in the middle. I know neither of those are a right side centre back, but I think we've seen Pascal play there before. I'm sure when Cooper's played. And he looked okay. He's fairly good on both feet, but that does of course leave Firpo on the left, which I wasn't delighted about. But maybe his goal's going to spark him into light.
Mate, he's a changed man. I think I'm a changed man by the recent change in Junior Firpo. I believe in Junior Firpo now, and I'm trying to say that with the biggest straight face I can. I'm a big Firpo fan. I'm not going to bash him anymore. I've got my goal. I'm happy. He's going to change like that now. He's going to become the new Roberto Carlos, and we're all going to be fucking buzzing about Junior Firpo. So let's get behind him. So this one on the screen now is what you're saying you think it will be, or is that what you want?
I think that's what I want to see. I think maybe more. I think more realistically, we're going to see Christensen on the right and Ayling in the centre back. But I just think we don't need to play him there. We don't need to start shifting players around so much. Yeah. That's a natural back four. Everyone's playing probably where they want to play.
But what do you expect Marsh to do then? Do you think it'll be Firpo that comes out, Struijk moves out to left back, and then Rasmus just goes in at right back, and it's those two in the middle, Ayling and Verba?
That's what I'm expecting, yeah.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm not too far away from you. I expect Rasmus will come in at right back. I think it'll be Ayling, right centre back, Verba, left centre back, and Pascal at left back. But don't you find it funny that a few weeks ago we could only give a back four where even the fullbacks, the whole back four was just made up of centre halves, but now the back four is made up of all fullbacks apparently, because Pascal's a fullback, Verba's a fullback, and Ayling, Firpo, Rasmus, all fullbacks. So it's just having people that can play in numerous positions. Is what it is.
Could work. I guess the worry is that they haven't played together as a centre back partnership. If it's that one that's on the screen, the one I would like, they haven't played together. So is that a risk? But
yeah,
I don't know if I didn't hear. Is Cooper close to fitness? Then is he
well,
likely to?
From what Marsh said, all the people that were missing Accrington Stanley were missing because they had a rest. So Cooper is available for selection.
Right.
So basically, if you're trying to struggle to keep up with us here, the one that we are expecting to see is the one that's on the screen now. And the one that I think Chris was more hoping and leaning towards was this one, which feel free to bully the shit out of him for being the one that chose to put Junior Firpo in. I'm just saying that wasn't me. But I'll be honest, I wouldn't feel anywhere near as worried about putting Firpo in now after the last few games. You know, goal and an assist in his last 2 or 3 games. What's not to like? Still brilliant going backwards, can defend, never gets run past by League One wingers. He's fucking fine.
Composed, you can just reliable player, you know what you're going to get.
Absolutely. We will make a proper left back of him yet, or a left wing back anyway. So I'm assuming you're going to, in fact, I'm not going to assume. I think it could be one or the other. What formation are you going for? What's in your midfield? Because obviously it's been 4-2-3-1 for a long time, but that can kind of mold into the 4-3-3 anyway. But Marsh did make comments today in the press conference about, and he was kind of talking about why Rodrigo came on. Because obviously he had to fend off some questions as to why Rodrigo got injured in the first place, which is, it's harsh and it's a stick that will get used to beat him with, but we were 3-0 up against a League One side in the FA Cup, clearly not going out, so we didn't necessarily need to bring on our top scorer. But the way he explained it was that he wanted Rodrigo to come on to play alongside Bamford in a front two, which indicated we're back to the penis again, 4-2-2-2. So what do you think is going to happen in midfield? Do you think it's going to be 2 in front of the back four, or do you think we're going to see a 4-3-3?
I think it's going to be 2. I don't think he's going to make too many drastic changes. Yeah, I mean, on Rodrigo coming on, I think we all said the same thing at the same time. We didn't see the need for him to come on, but it was just unlucky. He probably wanted to play. He wanted to score goals. He wanted to show he can work with Bamford, and it was just really unfortunate, wasn't it? But yeah, I think he's going to put two in front of the defence, and I think it's going to be Adams and Rocker in there. Yeah,
funny enough, I've gone. Is that what you want to see, though?
I think for tomorrow, that's what I want to see.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, that's exactly what I think as well. I think it will be continuing with a 4-2-3-1. And I think just knowing Jesse Marsh, I think he'll just revert to his usual and just go Tyler Adams, Mark Rocker. I think the temptation will be there to put McKennie in. He did name drop McKennie today, and the sentence that he said had the words McKennie and starting, but it just still didn't sound believable. It was, I think the words were like, he's an option to start. So if you write it down, it looks like a good sentence, but if you say it out loud, it just doesn't feel believable. An option to start is like, well, so's Mateo Joseph, but he's not going to. I'd like to see, at the very least, I think he needs to come off the bench at a good time, get some minutes, ideally more than Joffy got, like a good half an hour at least. But I think there's one thing, and obviously I have moved on from the back four, but with Rocker, and I've kind of singled him and Pascal and Brendan Aronson out as a 3 lately, as I kind of feel like they're out of form a little bit. If I had to bring anyone out, it would be those 3, but I can't see them getting dropped tomorrow. But if I had to, I would be tempted to. I like the suggestions most of the guys in the comments are saying here. I'd go 4-3-3 anyway, and I like the idea of Adams, Rocker, McKennie as a 3, or potentially if you are going to play the 2, we'll obviously move on to what's going on further up. But I'd like to see McKennie in with Adams and then some good attacking options. But so if you've gone 2, are you going 3-1 or are you going penis? What's the next step for you?
I think it's going to be 3 then 1 up top.
Yeah. So who's your 3 in behind the striker?
So I think Sinisterra, I think he did enough in the game. I think he's shown his fitness is there. I think you need to bring Nonto back in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess Sinisterra is going to go to the right. I suppose that's the unbalanced part about it. Everyone seems to play on the left. And I'm putting Harrison in the middle, just because he's played there a bit. I think there's been a lot of talk about Harrison. I guess to stick him on the bench after saying how important he is doesn't sound with some of the injuries he's got. I think just doesn't send the right message.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I'm just going to ask you outright: do you see him dropping Brendan Aronson? Just because I just don't see it happening. He doesn't seem to want to take Brendan Aronson out of the firing line.
Possibly not. I don't think he sees anyone as undroppable. I think he's got so many players there, and I don't think Aronson will start tomorrow.
Okay, I mean, for his sake and for our sake, because I think we've got better options, to be honest, at the minute. I hope you're right. My 3 behind the striker, you can't not put Willie Nonto in. Nonto has to play. It is an interesting one to see, like, does Ruta come in? Whereabouts would he play along that front 3? But I think I'm with you in terms of definitely sticks Sinisterra in. I know he's not necessarily hit the heights that he did before the injury as of yet, but before that injury, we were just as excited about Sinisterra as we are now about Willie Nonto. So I think for me, you've got to give Sinisterra and Nonto some time on each flank. And like you said, I'm not against the idea of Jack Harrison at 10, especially after the words that have been spoken about him in the last 24 to 48 hours because of that weird deadline day situation, which is mental. But some ideas of McKennie playing in that 10 role. And obviously we'll get to the striker in a minute, but someone wants me to tell Chris we're playing Sunday, not
playing
tomorrow.
Sunday.
That's
I'll set my alarm.
And I was going to bring this up actually. Somerville is fit and in the squad.
Well, Sunday even.
So there you go again.
I'm learning on the job.
Somerville is back and could be an option to come in. I think he was on fire before he picked up the injury. So again, has he moved up that pecking order now? I think for me, I'm probably with you. I'd stick with that 3 of Nonto, Sinisterra, and Harrison. But I think if I was to swap anyone in and out, it'd probably be for the new lad Ruta. I'd probably want to see him in there. Maybe. I think the only one that could drop out of those 3 might be Sinisterra, just because we've not seen much of him against a higher level side yet. We've only seen him get minutes against Accrington, and we don't know how fit he is, but we have got options. And just to confirm, Chris, your striker is Patrick Bamford, yeah?
We're sort of light on options now without Rodrigo sending Joffy out. So I think Bamford, and probably even if Rodrigo's fit, I'd say Bamford, just on the basis of how we played when he's been around.
So even if Rodrigo, who is our top scorer, the highest scoring Spaniard in Europe's top 5 leagues, and only Erling Haaland and Harry Kane have got more goals per minute than Rodrigo in the Premier League, even then you're putting Bamford in instead.
I would. I mean, it's not clear cut. I can see arguments for both, and the numbers don't lie. I guess you can't just base it on the numbers, though.
Is that just because he seems to help? We play better as a team, I suppose, when Bamford's on, or at least there's that feeling. The team is given more by having Bamford on the pitch, regardless of whether he's actually scoring goals, whereas Rodrigo just pops up with moments and just buries stuff this season.
Yeah, and we need these other players to start scoring as well. We can't just rely on Rodrigo. So if Bamford's going to bring the others into it, if they're going to start scoring, get more confident, and we're sharing the goals around, because we've got all these players. It shouldn't be a crisis when Rodrigo's not there, and hopefully Rita as well. I'd like to see him. I think he's probably more likely to play on the right than up top, based on what we saw in the last game.
No, the only thing that caught me off guard today was when he started talking about doing 2 up front, and what's he going to do? Is he going to bring Rutter on and maybe start in the penis ball, or is he going to start as 4-2-3-1 and then revert to penis ball when he drags Harrison or Sinisterra off later on in the game? It's interesting, but I think maybe the two lineups of what we expected and what we want aren't that far apart, but it's going to be an interesting time, 1 o'clock on Sunday, when that team comes out, to see like how I don't think there's, between now and the end of the season, at least after this transfer window, there shouldn't be too many 1 hour before kickoff, team comes out, times where you look down on your phone and you just go, oh, for fuck's sake. It should be, whatever that team comes out now, you should be able to look up and go, it's all right, fancy this, surely.
And even on the bench, even though we've got a few injuries, every game we should have some options. We shouldn't be as light as we have been sort of early in the season, last season, when it was just all youngsters. So I think it's great we've got so many options, and we've got so many different lineups that are getting thrown around on the chat, because normally that's not the case. Yeah.
I mean, the only people really missing out now, obviously, Rodrigo's now out for a couple of months. 6 to 8 weeks is what Marsh said today. Forshaw out as well. Dallas on his way back. Archie Gray nearly back in training, and Sonny Perkins picked up, but basically the same thing as Rodrigo, but not as serious. Came on as a late sub at Accrington, picked up an ankle injury, and is out for 10 days. So basically, he's missing the 2 Man United games, which would be good if you were a young kid, but. Yeah, like the options of people that are back, that bench, like you said, is strong. You've got Liam Cooper, I imagine, will be in the squad. It's just one of them, though, with Coops, when normally he doesn't get put on the bench very often if he's fit. No. So that could be the only thing that maybe changes in the lineup that we've given out. I could see if he is in the squad, maybe Cooper does start, but then I think I've seen the suggestion, a lot of people saying Cooper starts at left centre back and Verba goes to right centre back. Does that sound all right, Chris?
I didn't consider him because I didn't know he was in contention. I didn't know he was ready to go. But if he's there, I'll be happy to have him there. And arguably that's a more solid lineup than having Firpo. Yeah.
So if jumping back, I know. Sorry if you were hoping to get wrapped up and go to bed, but jumping back, then would that be Ayling right back, Verba right centre back, Cooper left centre back, and then Struijk left back for you?
I think he'd have to. I think longer term, I guess Pascal doesn't want to necessarily stay there, or maybe he does enjoy it. I don't know, but he has been playing there, and so I think keep him there.
Well. Any more goals off the bench and goals in the cut for Firpo, and could start challenging for that spot back eventually. You never know. So, guys, we're at that point in the show now where I'm going to ask you all to get your score predictions in. I want to know how you're feeling ahead of Sunday's game. We'll have some positivity, Chris, because in fact I'll go first because you're going to bring the positivity. I'm not. A few people upset in the comments that I'm a miserable bastard. I think it's a 6-pointer. I think we must win because I don't see us getting a right lot out of the next 2 games. But I'll be honest, I feel a little bit like Brentford again or like Villa again. I think we're going to get a good performance, but I think we're going to struggle to get the result that we want. I can see us scoring goals, but I think it's going to be a draw. It'd be nice for me to see goals from players that haven't scored in a while, and also goals from players that need goals. So if we can keep Bamford on his scoring run, that'd be good. Get a goal for Bamford, but let's see if we can get a goal for the new lad Rutter as well. I'm going to go a 2-2 draw. Chris, come on, make it a bit brighter, and just to also brighten the room up even more, I'm going to flash all your comments up because nobody other than me in these comments seems to think that we're going to do anything other than win. So, Chris, you and the lads take it away. Tell us how happy we should be.
I think we have to win. I think we will win. We need a strong start. We definitely need to get the first goal. And I think we're going to win 2-1. I think we'll go 2 up. as always, we'll concede, and it will be a bit tight at the end, and we'll do just about enough to hang on. We've got so much threat up front. Nonte coming back, who's now sort of starting to shine every game he plays in. So him on one side, Sinisterra on the other. I just think there's goals there, and Bamford's ready to play as well. I didn't think he was coming back as strong. I wasn't sure we'd see him much this season, to be honest. But surprised at how well he's played since he's been here. And I think there's a win coming up.
So who's getting the goals in your scenario?
I'd go Bamford and Nonto.
Okay. So now that I've flashed all the happy comments up, here's some miserable bastards like me. So another 1-1. I like this one in particular. Temp name will lose 2-1. Usual good performance, poor result. And the one that really matters, Alisson is not fucking wrong ever. She just, whenever she predicts something, it always ends up being true. I almost feel like Alisson needs to stop predicting bad things. But Alisson's going 1-1. So I'm sticking with Alisson and a draw. But there are other people that think it is going to be a win. So there is, oh, Jesus. God, do you remember Gareth McCleary getting 4 goals? At least we don't have to deal with that shit, hopefully. So, yeah, it could be good. It could be bad. And then just a nice 2 games against Man United to get over it with, Chris. It's going to be a fun week and a half.
There's points there. We're going to get some points this week. So one way or the other. So
you're the confident one. I have full faith in everything you say. So it doesn't look like all Oscar is going to be joining us this evening. So thank God we didn't wait for him, because we would have all died by now. But yeah, guys, if you haven't already, do the usual, smash a like, subscribe to the channel, and there's going to be plenty more content coming out over the weekend. But Chris, where are you watching the game on Sunday?
Just watching it at home. Watching it at home this week.
Nowhere crazy, not going Hooters or anything like that?
No, just from the lounge, watching the win. That'll be enough for me.
Fair enough. Well, wherever you're watching it, guys, I hope you enjoy the weekend. Fingers crossed. Rob's going to be right. 9 points, 8 days. Bang. It's going to be brilliant. Me and Chris are going to get tickets as well, and it's going to be great. Fingers crossed, eh? Cheers for watching, guys. Much appreciated, and we will